Good afternoon, friends. I'm Alok Mehta, welcoming all of you for this today's technical meeting. As all of you must be knowing that nowadays, right now, all of you must be released from the pressure of income tax audit. But now the GST audit is coming in from 1920, and as a result of which the pressure is still continuing and all. But the most important part nowadays is going on that the GST department has they have raided many people, and many of the dealers are issuing fake invoices. On that, many of the professionals or CAs are, they are involving as per their statistic, and many prosecution notice has been launched against the professionals. Now, because of that, there are lots of problems in the area of professional also. Okay, how to go about it? What is the implication behind that? What are the consequences of these alleged fake invoices? And how? What about the IT? What we have taken by the purchaser? Now, to explain all these in the nitty-gritty and all, we have with us today Nikita and Badheka to deeply explain the alleged issues in ITC in relation to the alleged circular trading, bill to ship to transaction, and criminal liability on the professionals. I think this topic much required because when we are doing GST audit of 1920, it's very much affecting our GST audit of 1920, and the pressure coming from department that now they are not even giving they're giving the what you can say a light, or they're giving the liberty for all these things. So we need to study deeply to go ahead with the GST area and to know about this provision will help you all of us in our GST practice day by day. I also welcome our LNR convener, chairman, Sri Janakbhai Vagani, convener Parth Badheka, my colleague in the managing committee member, Shijal Shah, my secretaries, Kuslani ji, Praveen Shinde ji, Mahesh Malhotra ji, and my treasurer, Kuslani ji. I welcome all of you for this gathering, and without wasting much time, I first of all thank you, Nikita Ben, for accepting our invitation and to share this knowledge on this very, very burning issue and all. So without wasting much time, thank you so much, all of you, for being present over here. And I straight away tell my IT committee committee convener, Advocate Sejal Shah, to please introduce Nikita Ben. I doesn't require introduction, but we formally want to introduce Nikita Ben. So please go ahead, Sejal madam.
Thank you so much, Alok. We welcome you, Nikita Ben. It's an honor on behalf of GSTPAM to introduce Nikita Ben. Nikita Ben is an advocate. Her areas of specialization is into goods service tax, sales tax, allied laws of VAT. She has mainly done appeals at tribunals and high court, in writs, appeals and references. Her present position is as the president of the AIFTP in 2019. She was an executive committee member, Sales Tax Tribunal Bar Association. She's been a member of the editorial board of Sales Tax Review, a monthly magazine with more than 4,000 circulation. Then she's been a member, Journal Committee of Chamber of Tax Consultants, member of various subcommittees of GSTPAM, namely LNR Committee, Publication Committee, Rules and Short Publication, Amendments and Tribunal Judgments, and Short Note Committee. It's an honor, and I would like to say this, that she is the first female chairperson of All India Federation of Tax Practitioners West Zone from 2008 and 2009. She is the first female president, Sales Tax Practitioners Association of Maharashtra from 97 and 98. First female president, Sales Tax Tribunal Bar Association, Mazgaon, and first female editor, Sales Tax Review, having circulation of more than 4,000 copies. She's been a national treasurer, AIFTP 2010-11, national vice president, AIFTP West Zone for the year 2018, chief coordinator, VAT Core Committee of Sales Tax Practitioners Association of Maharashtra and various subcommittees of VAT and CST. She's a member of various committees, honorary consultant in the panel of consultants of IATA MMA, regular column writer in STR and CTC for more than 10 years. She's an education activist and she has written various papers. Just a second. Since 1994 and presented the same to various seminars held throughout India like Jaipur, Mumbai, New Delhi, Hyderabad, Nagpur, Surat, Ahmedabad, Chennai, and the list goes on. She has been a chairman and speaker at seminars held at various Musafir places in Maharashtra. She has presented papers at 2 international conferences at China and Uzbekistan. She is a regular faculty in seminars organized by GSTPAM and AIFTB. She has also delivered lectures at various branches of WIRC, BCAS, trade organizations, Chamber of Commerce, etc., as well as chaired various sessions and acted as trustee for brain tests organized by all the above associations. She has also given training to the probationary officers of Sales Tax Department. So it's a real honor to welcome you, Nikita Ben, and to have such an inspiring lady amongst us. Please, the floor is all yours.
Unmute करो madam.
No, you're on mute, Nikita Ben. You are self-muted. Nikita Ben, you are self-muted.
इसका विड्रॉल कर रहा था बीएसवी का लिखा है
Just click the green microphone button on the corner. Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
The technical glitches.
Yeah.
Normally, because when you are doing it, at least the sharing for the first time that makes. Now, friends, Sejal, thank you very much for the nice introduction. Very detailed one, not required normally. Our vice president had a lot of expectation from me. Let me hope I fulfill your expectation. The vice president, treasurer, secretary, convener, and chairman of Law and Representation Committee members, all the members present, senior, junior, everybody. Before I start this lecture, a very tricky subject, I would start with a small caveat. See, I would give an example, an anecdote, that a manufacturer of a gun would know about the various parts of the gun, but he wouldn't know how to fire it, and he wouldn't know the exact point at which he should shoot. Similar is the knowledge which we gather everywhere, including this type of issues. Whatever we discuss here, all cannot be applied to one case. Your case may be unique, your case may be identical, but still you will have to find out where you fit in properly. So do not try to wear the cap that yes, I can apply this and it goes. It's very tricky because when you talk of some issues, when you talk of some, what do we call, some action which we should take, sometimes you shoot in dark, sometimes you don't know whether, you are required to go to that length also or not. So I would simply say that please keep the discussion in mind, apply it in individual case with lot of caution and care, considering the revenue involved, and only when the client is willing to go to such an extent of litigation. Because once you start, it has to start to finish. You cannot, go halfway, then you would be putting your client in a danger. So you need to be very, very careful when you select the action you want to take for your client. There are lots of possibilities. You will have to look into the possibilities, master your client's facts, and then you apply the law as we would discuss. Because it would be futile to apply the law without knowing the facts very, very much in detail. Therefore, normally when there is an investigation or enforcement query, what does the client do? They would send you the notice and they would say, Madam, ye hua, wo hua, vagere, whatever. Then we have to tell them, please, you can't discuss on phone, number one. It's very risky, you might miss something. Number two, it is advisable that you give your client at least an hour to discuss with him his modus operandi, how he's working, how the issue was detected by the enforcement branch, what is the revenue involved, what is the way forward. Because you might be knowing, all of you, the clients don't come in the beginning. They come after they've tried their best in settling the matter. When they fail to settle, they feel abhi ab kidhar jana padega, then they come to the lawyers. So this is something I must tell you. I think I will move this, otherwise my screen would be disturbed. Anyway, with that caveat, let's move on with the first slide. Now, what are the issues I would be covering? Because the issues I would be covering would be ITC concept, brief introduction to provision, essential ingredients of supply of goods and service, delivery of goods, whether must, concept of bill to ship to, presumption, whether rebuttable, can there be fake ITC? It's very important. You know, you must have seen, I've changed the subject a little bit because the word suggested was fake ITC. So I would be discussing whether fake ITC is possible, how to identify invalid and non-genuine ITC, circular trading versus paper trading, powers of authorities, show cause by GST authorities, summons, when, how to attend, and what is the defense, who is responsible, director, sorry, director, partner, employee, CEO, accountant, transporter, or tax professional, I mean, it is always and remedies and discussion. Since this is going to be a, what do you say, more of a practical aspect, we would discuss the legal aspect, but there would be more of a practical discussion also. My request would be here till last, write down whatever you want to on a piece of paper or on a chat box, and we would take up the queries at the end. Now we come to the ITC. When you talk of input tax credit, you would remember the first Mahalakshmi case, wherein Honorable Justice Chandrachud observed that input tax credit is the benefit given by the state and therefore it is not a right. With due respect to the Honorable Bombay High Court, that was the case by Supreme Court in a single points taxation system. When you come to value-added tax system, the tax on value-added is inbuilt. It's a right, and therefore you cannot say that it is a benefit given by state. It is a value-added tax system, and the state cannot say whatever we give, you give. Yes, there are safeguards, reasonable safeguards, and restrictions which are permitted to be given by the state to avoid the misuse. But they cannot say that it is not a right. GST is also a value-added tax system. Therefore, it has to follow the at least input tax credit. Yes, with reasonable caution. Now we come to the basic eligibility. See, we are not going to the entire section 16, 17 or the ITC sections. No, we would be going to section 16 and 36, which are relevant to understand our point as on today. Now, what is the basic criteria? Under this section, that only a registered person, which is RP, because in the next slides you would see RP only registered person can avail the ITC, subject to conditions, restrictions, and manner prescribed. So you have to go to Rule 36 also. We'll come to it little later on. Now, what is eligible? What is eligible is the credit of input tax charge on any supply of goods or service or both to him which are used, intended to be used in the course of furtherance of business. Now I highlighted this. Why? Because when you talk of paper trading, they are not done for furtherance of business of supply of goods and service. This is furtherance of income is a different issue. But input tax credit can be only when supply of goods and service. Of course, this condition and all, you know it by now, but most important that the supply should be used or intended to be used in the course of furtherance of business. Now, the very next I have written completed transaction, which is very important. You get input tax credit only for the completed transaction. Now, what you say completed transaction, whether delivery complete, delivery is a completion of transaction. Yes, maybe that is one, not always the delivery. Delivery is not always a condition precedent to complete a transaction. As you would go through certain case laws, you will know. But most important is the transaction of supply of goods and service must be completed. Now, the basic criteria, as we have seen, is the possession of tax invoice, debit note. Second is important, receive the goods or service or both. So basic, important for our present discussion is whether the recipient has received the goods or services or both. Now, this services is inserted later on in February 19, but now it becomes very important to consider the services also. Has filed the return under 39, no issue at all. Then comes a very important aspect of deeming receipt. Now, this is where the consultants and the courts would like to see whether the real circular trading, I'm not talking about the fake paper trading. See, when we discuss, I will tell you circular trading as distinct from the paper trading. Whether actual delivery is to be received by the recipient of goods, or even if the third person receives the goods, it will be treated as sufficient compliance of the completion of the transaction. Because if you read the explanation, I would read it because it's very important. For the purpose of this clause, it shall be deemed that registered person has received the goods, or as the case may be, services, where the goods are delivered by the supplier to a recipient or any other person on the direction of such registered person. So the direction must come from the registered person. Who is the registered person? The buyer, what we call it, purchaser. Whether acting as an agent or otherwise, before or during the movement of goods, either by way of transfer of document of title to goods or otherwise. Now, what is this or otherwise? You may write in the invoice only. We know it very common practice. Consignor, consignee are different. So it is possible. So that also is accepted. Where the services are provided by the supplier to any person on the direction and on account of such registered person, it shall be deemed that the services are provided and received by the registered person. Now, friends, pausing here, one very nice distinction I would like to make is with reference to section 10 of IGST Act. Now, it has almost the same wording, except at one place. Just give me 1 minute. You remember when I said that by a registered person, but when you go to section 10, place of supply, 10(1)(b), where the goods are delivered by the supplier to a recipient or any other person on the direction of third person. They are not referring to registered person, such a registered person as under the CGST and SGST Act, but it is saying by any other person, the place of supply of such goods shall be the location of the goods at the time at which the, no, sorry, I am on the one, sorry, the second. Whether acting as an agent or otherwise, before or during movement, these are all the same thing. It shall be deemed that the third person has received the goods and the place of supply shall be the principal place of supply, which is related to place of supply. We are not really much concerned for this for the purpose of circular trading and the subject before us. But a very good distinction which we should keep in mind, because when you talk of IGST and when you discuss IGST, instructions, directions need not be by the registered person. It can be by the third person. It can be transporter. It can be any other person. That's a different subject by altogether. Now, before and during the movement of goods, of course, that we all know that before the transaction completes, because once you take a delivery, the transaction is complete. There is no further movement possible. Therefore, before the movement of goods. Now, I have also written transfer by document of title to goods or otherwise, because there can be other modes by which the transfer can happen. Now, explanation 2, as I read already, it is regarding the services. Now, 16.3 is at par with 48.5. That means the amount is actually paid in the government treasury. Now, whether it means he should actually deposit in cash, because you all are aware that normally under the value-added tax system, under the GST also, you utilize the ITC first and then you make the payment of the balance cash. So that is permitted, because in terms of the Empire Trading, one of the oldest Bombay High Court judgment, set off input tax credit is as good as tax paid, unless of course it is disallowed. That's a different story altogether. Now 86B is the new amendment. This 86B says subject to certain condition, exemptions also given. We are not discussing that. But it says 1% payment has to be by cash for certain dealers. Now, if such dealers have not paid 1% cash and they are not falling into exemption also, they may be defaulter for 86B, but it would not be treated that they have not paid the tax in terms of 16.3. Next. Oh my God, what is happening? Sorry. There is some mistake because it is showing the expanded version. 1 minute. Okay. It should not show this expanded version.
Madam, just read it, because now it will not change. You'll have to reduce the boxes and all. Let it be. Just read it.
Okay, okay. Now, this is number 8. I have fortunately another one, so I'll be able to read it. Good. Now, receipt of goods or service or both, what is the meaning? Because this section 16.2, 16 starts with the non-obstinate clause, which says 16.2, notwithstanding anything contained in this section. So this deeming section is for this section, and if anything other said in section will not apply. And it is start with no registered person shall be entitled, etc. Now, that means most important, RP should have received the goods or service or both. Actual received, we will come to little later on, constructive delivery and actual receipt. Now, what can be the proof of delivery of goods? Very simple. Delivery of goods you can prove by way of transport proof, LR, MR, whatever other proof. Courier service is also permitted. E-way bill is also a proof, supporting proof for delivery of the goods or the transportation of the goods. Now, what can be the proof of supply of goods? This is very important, because when it comes to, oh, I paused, it says you paused screen sharing. Okay.
Yeah, you're visible, ma'am.
Now it is going. Oh God, that's
Yes.
good. Now it is coming. Now, what is the proof of supply of service normally? Oh, because it is not just, I'll skip that. Now, when you talk of supply of service, and if there is a deeming application in this, that means, let us take a very standard example of a construction contract. There are always the subcontractor. Fortunately, we have the judgment also of the Supreme Court in case of Larsen and Toubro 17 BST1 as I remember, where it has said that transfer of property is only one. So fair enough. So in that case, the transfer of property, that means the supply now is only once. That means when the subcontractor supplies to the employer, there may be the billing logistic billing system between the two transaction at one point in time, but the transfer is only one, the supply is only one. Now in such cases, there are contract. Now suppose there is some oral contract where it is assigned to some third person. How does he prove that he has acted on my directions or instructions? In the invoice, you may write one part. Ideally, there should be an email stating that this is what I have to do. I am assigning you to do the job. Then only you would be able to get the benefit of 16.2 deeming section, because you have to prove that there were instructions, directions by the registered person, and that has to be proved by some evidence. Merely invoice in the goods case is very good. In the case of service, of course, you can write service supplied by and the actual supply by and the billing by possible. But according to me, in my opinion, please have some email or something. Now we come to what is meant by receipt of goods or service or both. What is constructive delivery? Now this is where I would be referring to in little detail these 3-4 judgments. Now why I'm referring to is nothing but the fact that once you understand this aspect, you would know what is constructive delivery qua the circular trading concept. Now, practice of trade, we all know. Trade has never had, taken the delivery, taken the, arranged their own transportation and taken the delivery, had the go down and then given the delivery. It was never the. The concept of constructive delivery is an age-old concept. I have given 3-4 cases which I'll be discussing, but the purpose of this sheet was to show how old it is and till date it is being followed. One is Bayana Bhimaya related to 1961, 52, 53 was the period involved, larger bench. Kolasri was referring to 46, 47. And it was a constitution bench judgment, not reversed till date. Why? Because in case of B.M. Shah, argued by me only, in 2005, the judges have relied on it and held that delivery order is a document of title to goods. Now, Chhaganlal Savchand was with reference to the high seas sale. It pertained to period 49-50. I have written Advocate S.P. Mehta and Y.P. Trivedi's name because most of you are familiar with this name. S.P. Mehta sir is no more there, but Y.P. is still there. See the, age-old concept. They argued and they concurred also. Now let's go to it one by one. Now first I have taken Chhaganlal Savchand. Why this is important is they have relied on section 20 of Sale of Goods Act. Now this Sale of Goods Act, Chhaganlal Savchand case, if anybody is facing the high seas ascertainment goods issue, this is also a case you can rely on. I've selected this to point out the impact of Sale of Goods Act on the transaction of supply or sale. Because what we call supply is the enlarged definition of sale. Sale is one part, supply is something more than sale also. Now, what Supreme Court held that section 20 of Sale of Goods governs the case. Arguments advanced by the council center around the provisions of this section only. It would be convenient to read. Where there is an unconditional contract for sale of specific goods in a deliverable state, property in goods passes to the buyer when the contract is made. It is immaterial, this is important, whether the time of payment of the price or time of delivery of the goods or both is postponed. Now, why this is important is we would be applying this in today's context also, we can still apply in today's context also, because you cannot shelve the Sale of Goods Act. Sale of Goods Act still applies. Especially when we discuss the circular trading, you would remember the line, and I will discuss it then again. Now, there is one more very important information about the constructive delivery, how it happens and why it should be constructive. A cargo at sea while in the hands of the carrier is necessarily incapable of physical delivery. During this period of transit and voyage, bill of lading by the law merchant is universally recognized as its symbol, and the endorsement and delivery of the bill of lading operates as a symbolical delivery of cargo. Property in the goods passes by such endorsement and delivery of the bill of lading whenever it is the intention of the parties that the property should pass, just as under the similar circumstances, property would pass by an actual delivery of goods. See, constructive delivery means entering into contract. If the contract says once the endorsed documents are handed over, his duty is over, the goods are treated as delivered, then it is to be treated as delivered. And of course, the property would pass. Now, Bayana Bimaya is a very important case about document of title to goods. And it is saying delivery order is document of title to goods. It was called Kacha delivery orders. Now, what was the case in that? There were the gunny bags case. This was a gunny bag case. I have not discussed it. I'll just only say. It was a gunny bag case. The mill was given order to provide certain, say maybe a number of lakh, let us take lakh of gunny bags. Now they said, all right, you make the payment and advance deposit, everything was made. Then they said, this man says, this much all, I cannot take it at one go. So I want my purchaser to take the delivery from you directly. I will not handle into this loading, unloading, that's a cost on me. Now, therefore, he issued Kacha delivery order. Now, you see, this Kacha delivery order, these are the old, age-old, what do you say, the terms, business terms. The Supreme Court says, the case, the High Court held, High Court said that transfer of Kacha delivery order, there is no sale involved. Therefore, there is no sales tax leviable on that. The Supreme Court larger bench reversed the judgment and said that in this case, two deliveries synchronizing at one time. Now, this is what is the circular trading, or what we'll discuss later on. One by mill to third person as agent of the buyers, and another by buyer to the agent. So, mill supplies to third party as an agent of buyer. His invoice would be to buyer, bill to ship to, we all know that. And the other bill would be from by buyer to the agent. So these are two deliveries synchronizing at one time. There are two separate transactions in fact and in law, and tax is payable on both the transactions. Why? Because agents had paid extra price, because every agent, subsequent agent, pays additional price just in case of ICCL. There is a margin. They sell it at a higher price. This is the case law relied on in the latest judgment also by the Bombay High Court. Similarly, one judgment which I said is Gollasiri. Now, this is a judgment which is followed Bayana Bimaya. It's a constitution bench judgment, that is 7-member bench judgment, not overruled till date, relied till date on every possible manner. The mills had issued delivery order directing the delivery of goods as per the contract and handed over to the respondent on his honoring a hundi for the value of the goods. By the time delivery order was issued, there were sufficient gunny bags in the godown of the mills. It was open for the respondent to take delivery of the goods, of the bags. The respondent, however, endorsed the delivery order. Respondent was the assessee, because here the state is the appellant petition. Now, what has happened? Contrary to Baya Bibaya, here the High Court said that it is not taxable, and this is scholarly reversed that. It was open to the respondent to take delivery of the goods, etc. Through the respondent, however, endorsed the delivery order. This passed through several hands before the ultimate holder of the delivery order presented it to the mills and obtained delivery of the bags from the mills. Therefore, what is important is, it may pass 10 hands, 5 hands, 3 hands. Ultimately, there should be delivery of goods by the original supplier to the ultimate buyer. The High Court held that the transactions entered into were mere transfer of delivery order, not any sale of goods, held that transactions for sale of goods were therefore liable to sales tax under the Madras Services Tax Act. These are very important basic principles. The next is the practice of traders. Now, see friends, it is very important for us to know how the trade functions. We all know the supply chain. There is a manufacturer, distributor, stockist, wholesaler, and the traders. Traders to retailers, retailers to actual consumers. Now, except distributors and stockists, nobody can afford the storage, loading, unloading, transportation, and other administrative costs. Therefore, what happens? They don't take delivery at all. Now, if you say that this circular trading is present term, then no, this is not a present term. But yes, there is a difference between this bill to ship to and circular trading, which will come a little later on. So what happens in this case? The stockist would sell to wholesaler. Wholesaler has the demand from the traders. He may issue the delivery order to the traders or as per the arrangement. Now, so many times the arrangements differ. Sometimes the traders go directly to the distributors and buy it, or sometimes there is an in-between person who issues the delivery order in favor of the traders. These traders also do not take delivery. What they do is, the retailer, they may take in, maybe, sometimes they take in lots. They may not take the full delivery. They may take in lots, or they will arrange the retailers to arrange for the transportation and take the delivery. Now, there are different types of trade where this is possible. I will give a very simple example. Because metal trader is, it has got infamous name. But normal trading in chemical, metal, or anything you take, what happens is the traders never take delivery. There are 10 traders in the same building, same place of business. Still, they are doing genuine business because the goods exist. They direct the supplier to deliver directly to their customer. Once that delivery is made, the customer confirms that yes, I have received the goods, and then only the transaction is complete. He is entitled to raise the invoice or whatever it is. But this is the normal bill to ship to method, which is universal in all the types of goods. And IGST also, I've said section 10(1)B recognizes this. But again, some distinction with the circular. Now, bill to ship to, as also I've said, I've already covered. Now, in case of services, I've said that because services are normally rendered, and rendering service can be tangible, like, something job work you are doing, polishing you are doing, cutting somebody else is doing. It is possible to prove that with the invoice only, very easy to prove. But many a times when the services are rendered in an intangible way, doing something to the goods which may not be visible, then of course you will have to have written instruction, email, etc. Now I have given this circular trading format. What happens in this is, it is not always that A buys from B, B buys from C. Now there are 5 persons in this. There can be more than 5, there can be less than 5. Now, there can be crisscross in the sense A, B, C, D, E. A says to B, B to C, C to E. There was something written inside, it has vanished in this. I don't know how it has vanished. But whatever it is, there are different companies in. Let us put it A, B, C, D, E. Now, in this case, I put 5. Just to give an example, there can be 3, there can be 4, but yes, less than 3, it is not possible. In case of 3 also, it is very ideally built to ship to example also. But circular trading normally happens in more than 3 cases. Now, built to ship to, there is a delivery by the supplier to the ultimate consumer. That is a third person. In circular trading, what happens? The last person returns the goods on paper to the original owner. Now, what happens? Everybody files the return. They are very neat transaction. Everybody files return, pays the tax. Stock is also shown, plus and minus is shown. Warehouse is something we will discuss little later. Now, warehouse receipts, when they are missing, when there are no goods in warehouse, then what happens? Then they become paper transaction. Because this arrangement, circular trading, why it is done, I will come little later on. But all this circular trading can be distinguished from the paper trading merely on the basis of the warehouse keeper's receipt, goods existing as such. Now, the next is what are the variations? Whether there is any distinction between VAT and GST, absolutely no distinction. Almost the same. There is absolute. What was unfortunately, GST regime is more digitalized. The traders have not realized, and people have started continuing in that. They still continue to do that. Seriously, not a very good condition for the trade as such, for the economy as such. Now, I have written manufacturer in the link. What happens? Now you see, A supplies to B, B supplies to C. C is a manufacturer. Being a manufacturer, he is excise registered also. Let's presume that. He does some process and he sells to D. D again sells to A only, possible. Now, it would be very good case to argue there are genuine transactions because number one, the goods exist. The existence of goods can be proved by the excise register, excise entry pass, etc. And there is actually a process on which the excise is also paid. Now, this is how it is, a genuine circular trading. It is possible they are increasing the price. What is the purpose is to increase the price ultimately when it is to be sold to an outsider. Very much possible, but this is not a non-genuine transaction. Very important. Now, when you supply to multinational, if I'm supplying to multinational, multinational would not supply further. They might use it for their own use. But if in this entire circular trading, somewhere there is a multinational involved, it would be a very interesting case. Because I've seen the involvement of multinational changes the entire scenario. What happens in case of multinational? They have the procedure to select the buyer and the seller, panel of purchaser, seller. They have the checks in place to find out genuine, non-genuine. They check regularly two-way also, everything else. So multinational coming in between this is really a rarest of rare possibility. You might have seen in match mismatch, when you take a case of a multinational company, normally there are no hawala or non-genuine dealer. It is possible they may have supply from some of the non-genuine dealers. The simple reason is they do receive the goods, but the supply is by X, the invoice is of Y. But there, even the multinational cannot save themselves when it is proved that the supplier was non-genuine. They are also in soup and they also have to let go the input and sell it. Now, supply from outside the state for the purpose of circular trading, a rare possibility, but very rare. In one of the cases I have seen, but I was not really happy that this is a circular trading. There are possibilities, something else. Now, when you do this, what happens is normally it is circular, it goes back to the original owner. The department tries to find this. There are various methods, I'll come to little later on. And then we call it tax terrorism. Now, this tax terrorism is the word which has come because of this circular trading, the alleged fake input tax credit claim. No other reason. Because otherwise, if you are not paid the tax for the genuine transaction, you are a defaulter, you are bound to be followed for recovery, not otherwise. Penal consequences will come little later. Now, what is paper trading and hawala business? As I said earlier also, existence of the goods is a must if at all you want to prove that this circular trading in which your client may be A, B, C, D or E is doing a genuine business. Now let me point out something very good. Then A, B, C, D, there are 5 persons. Either catch D, his buying and selling would be to the same party every time. Now this is where you get caught, because every such transaction, you will have more than one transaction in a day. 10 times I've seen, people, the greed for earning is so much in the business class also that they get caught, because same day you would find 5 transactions, same month there will be hundreds of transactions, buying from one, selling to other, same party. Now in a normal case, I may be able to prove that yes, he is my wholesale supplier and I am supplying to XYZ only, nobody else. Genuine one, no problem. If the goods don't exist, yes, it is termed as bogus. Now, in all this trading, non-genuine or hawala or fact, normally there is one mastermind. Now, this one mastermind, he starts issuing crores of rupees bills, which penetrates to down the line, and there are lakhs of rupees, thousands of rupees bills, whatever circular. It may not go back, but it percolates down. Now it percolates down. The department comes to know that your purchases are from non-genuine dealer. What happens in case of a normal trader? He wouldn't want, because as I said, he buys actual goods. He is in possession of actual goods. The agent or whoever is supplied may have given a fake bill, a bogus bill. He had no means to find out whether it is bogus or not. So what he does is, he also passes on the credit to the other person. Now his business is genuine. In ABC, down the line it may go to D, E, F, G, it goes down. There is no circular in that, but there is a chain of non-genuine person in between till it stops at the retailer or at the trader's age. Now when it stops there, what would a trader do? He wants to save his retailer. His retailer will say, if you do like this, if I find that you are not doing genuine business, we'll stop purchasing you. He is a small supplier of stores and spares to multinationals. The multinationals will say, if this inquiry comes to us, we'll stop buying from you. So what he does, he says, yes, I will make the payment. Now this is where the problem starts. Making payment is not sufficient. How to stop that is sufficient. Now, normally the circular trading, which I have explained in that circular format, actual circular trading is done between the sister concern, between more than one sister concern, I mean, not related parties also, to get the financial assistance from the bank, just to show the increased turnover. This is what the normal modus operandi is. Maybe to increase the price, because if you have a goods which you have acquired, which you are buying from the importer at 100 price, you want to sell in the market at 500, what do? The income tax will not allow you that much of profit. So you allow it to change the hands, and ultimately the goods come to you. Your input is 400 rupees and you sell it at 500 rupees. So these are the only two reasons, as I know, where there are genuine proposed or maybe purposeful enhancement in the turnover. This is purposeful, not proposed, purposeful. Now, here also, if you are able to prove that yes, A, B, C, D, E went back to A, thereafter A is sold to 10 more persons. And if you are able to prove that goods exist, they have been sold at X price after even circular, then of course it should be accepted as a normal transaction. Now, this all we have said. What happens in case of accounts? See, whenever there are fake transactions, they try to do everything very, very systematically. The accounts are squared off. The amount received, paid, or squared off. There may be cash withdrawal, but no payment in cash on books to the supplier, whatever it is. What happens is buyer or supplier. What happens is once you have in a genuine, I'm now talking about genuine and paper taking separately. Now, when in a genuine circular trading, you have squared off the account, tax paid on the margin on value added, whether you can be asked to pay under 73 or 74. Now, we all know the distinction. 73 when there is no fraud or misrepresentation or concealment. 74 when there is fraud, misrepresentation. In the 67, that is search and seizure transactions. Now, in case of type A of a genuine circular trading, again, I'm using the word again and again because I don't want it to be mixed with non-genuine circular trading. In case of genuine circular trading, goods must exist. Now, if you go to any Supreme Court judgment, including Kolasri and what I've said, why I refer to those three cases is they were the case of transfer of the goods changing hands with multiple people before the final delivery was taken, and yet they were held as a genuine transaction. The same thing here. Now, whatever number of hands it changed, if ultimately the goods exist, now then what happens? A, B, C, D, E, whether they would put the goods in store with A or it will be shifted to A, B, C. Obviously, it would be with A. Nobody can afford movement of goods from A to B, B to C, C to D, because the transportation is not possible, loading, unloading, not viable, everything altogether. Therefore, what happens, what can be argued is the warehouse receipt ownership can be changed. Now, where they are caught is when in one day the same amount, same quantum is turned 5 times, then of course your paperwork will not be proper. And what happens is your warehouse receipt, the ownership is not changed. Yes, it is possible to argue that A, the original supplier, who is the owner of the goods, had say 100 tons of goods. He is holding in trust for B, B to C, C to D, etc. These are possible arguments. I have still to see a case which has been successful on this ground for the simple reason when it comes to circular trading, everybody knows A wants to increase the price. B, C, D, E are for the sake of convenience, for earning 5%, 0.5% commission or whatever they get. Therefore, what happens when there is an inquiry, they would be very quick in saying that we have not done this business at all. We have not carried on business. Whereas the fact is, they filed return, audit report, payment of tax on the margin, claiming ITC. But one such person giving an affidavit, a statement, is fatal for the entire chain. Once he gives a statement, then there is a problem. As we all know, once he gives the statement, what would happen? The department would stop there. They would say, all right, give us the list of your customers. And they would go to the customers. They would collect the money from customers also. What they will do with the supplier, A, B, C, D. D has said it is fake. They go to E for recovery. In case of D, They will also recover the tax. They would disallow his input tax credit from B. Now, there are cases which we have in live cases where we have proved that although you may say this is non-genuine, I have purchased from D, D has purchased from B, but B has paid the tax. D is a defaulter. Now, giving of the affidavit is not always on account of coercion. It is also when the person giving the affidavit do not want to make the payment of any tax. He is a defaulter. वो बोलते हैं ना हाथ खड़े कर देते हैं, वो बोल देते हैं हमने कुछ नहीं किया, हमने सेल परचेस भी नहीं किया, though the fact may be there are actual sale purchase. Now this happens in case of actual bill to ship to also, and many other transactions where the supplier would simply says, I have not supplied the goods, I have only given the invoice. Then who has supplied the goods? Some third person. It is the agent who brings the goods, we buy the goods, and then one fine day, the supplier files an affidavit. In such cases, it is a real task for a tax consultant because the existence of goods is not denied. Then we have to go back to the first Mahalakshmi case where the Advocate General has given a lot of undertaking. We will check this, we will try our maximum to collect the tax, etc. What happened under the VAT period? Let me point out. 2005, 1405 VAT started, and VAT continued up to say the non-evasion or the evasion was traced sometime in the year of 9 and 10. Till then, everybody has free hand in Hawala transactions. Everybody disclosed the turnover, paid the tax on Hawala transactions. Suddenly, one fine day, in 9-10, the government is alert. It says that yes, there seems to be something fishy in this. And then up to 12-13. After 12-13, majority of the Hawala and this has stopped. Why? Because people realized there is no money. You are getting hardly 0.5%. And ultimately, when they catch you, they will catch you by neck and you will pay tax, interest, penalty, and whatnot. And there is hardly any defense. In such cases, why it happened? The real problem is department allowed them to continue up to 9-10. Is it that the department was not knowing there are so many registration going on? Here also under the GST, now they are trying to improve the registration system to catch hold early the defaulters, because they have found if you make the registration system easy, it is possible there are more non-genuine factors coming into the tax net and playing havoc with the genuine dealer. Now, in such cases, the tax can be collected on full value from all or not. Now, I have referred to section 76. 76 says, a registered person who has collected the tax, he must deposit the entire tax collected by him. Normally, in circular trading, what he would do, he would deduct the input tax credit, pay the balance. On the invoice, he shows full collection, obviously. Now, in such cases, when some chain is broken, the department says, we have the right, relying on 76, we have right to collect your entire tax. Now, I have twofold arguments in such cases. First argument is, if you say that the transaction is non-genuine, there is neither sale nor purchase, then there is no tax payable. Because at best, you can levy penalty, but you can't treat it as sale and purchase. We have some very fantastic cases where my input tax credit from X is disallowed, but my sale to X, the same party, sale to X, it is possible. I mean, you see what happens is, majority of the dealers are doing genuine and non-genuine both so many times. One who is doing non-genuine, he would be totally out of our discussion also because he is doing paper trading, no defense for him. But there are persons who are doing both types of transaction, There are persons who are doing this for, as I said, increasing financial, assistance from the bank, etc. In this cases, when he is caught, whether he should pay full tax on the value. Now, number one, when he would be caught, if the supplier has not paid the tax. So his first duty would be catch hold of the supplier, find out why he has not paid the tax. Supplier can be a defaulter, a partial defaulter, but not totally not filing of the return. If he is a totally non-filer of return, non-payment of tax, obviously one has to realize that the purpose was not good. He had entered into the transaction, but his intention was not only to defraud the revenue, but also to defraud his customers. In that case, you have no alternative but to make the payment. Now, where do you make the payment? Make the payment under section 73. These are the transactions not concealed. They are transactions in your books of account, and therefore, ideally, payment should be made under 73. I'm not going to discuss 73, 74, but the purpose is when you're caught, what you have to do. Now, in this case, what happens is, I have seen the case in, especially in GST, the first GST biggest fraud of say 1600 crores or 600 crores by some opera house party in the month of August 17 only. And what they did, they found the link very easy. We will discuss how they're finding link also. And they took full tax from each and every person involved therein. Again, the argument would be, if the goods exist, yes, the tax is payable on value added only. If the goods do not exist, there is no tax payable. Yes, penalty prosecution would be there, but tax payable will not be there. Therefore, in such cases of paper trading, let's talk of paper trading. When everybody is caught, everybody is asked to deposit the tax. Unfortunately, everybody deposits also. Now, why do they deposit? Because they are afraid of prosecution. With GST, you all know prosecution is going to be a very big story, and it is already a very big story for many dealers also. But therefore, in such cases, number one, either the sale is not genuine. If the sale is genuine, then the tax collection is genuine, then you have to pay the tax. Whatever collected, you have to deposit into common treasury. So dealer will have to take a conscious view. But let me tell you, whatever view the dealer takes, the department does is, what they do is, they would collect from each and every person in the chain amount of tax on the total amount of sale by them. Right or wrong, someday the High Court would look into it. Now, here I've tried to discuss how you can be caught, how the dealers are caught. Because this is a digital era, they have very smart digital tools also. There are smart research technique with department. And based on research, there are findings which they have reached to. Risky good dealing, they would always look in with the very sharp eyes, saying that yahan to garbad hona hi hai, metal wala hai. The first presumption is garbadi. Poor fellow will have to prove there is no garbad, and then it is okay. Then they do data analysis, technical analysis. Now this is important. Everybody files a return. Now in that return, you give the sale and purchase detail. Nowadays you are giving. Obviously, it is very easy to find out. You analyze this, he would open the other suppliers' data, and he will open the customer's data. He would know this is repeated transactions, same amount, same figure, same quantity going on. You'll be caught. You can't help it. Then online verification, sister concern related party. Yes, same place also if they are registered, there will be sudden increase in turnover. This normally happens in the fly-by-night new registration. They take the registration in the first year that trading crosses 10 crores, 15 crores and more. Obviously, It would be a warning bell for the research assistant, for the assessing officer, and he should look into it with a very greater detail to find out what is happening. Sudden increase in ITC, non-filing of return, it's one of the worst basic reason. Sudden variation in stock. Now this stock, they would not know till they get the statement from you. Therefore, variation in stock would come at a later stage when the audit is filed, etc. Otherwise, it is the your returns only which throws light on it. Now, multiple transactions to identical party on the same day. We discussed same. Actually, they don't even change the figures. If they have written 1054, then they will add something, then same thing. Again, same 1054, sale, return. I mean, this is something really very bad. But that's what it is said. The greed in the human mind is the worst, and this is where it is creating problem. ITC mismatch is one of the very good case. Fall, increase in profit ratio, chain located, of course. Now it is very easy for them to locate the chain. See, that is why the type of the return prescribed. If you are return defaulter, they will first find out last year what was his problem, whether there is really fake transactions going on or some genuine reason he has not paid the tax and therefore not filed the return. There are artificial intelligence too on account of the digitalization. These are all used by them. It is not like the previous period where, I mean, way back in BST, where they would receive some complaint that chitti chapati pe dhanda ho raha hai. So somebody will rush and will find lots of chittis. That time is gone. Nobody keeps on chitti. People have either on mobile, computer, or wherever they are. But in any case, we are not discussing those chitti business. They are paper trading. They are not circular trading. So we have to again and again distinguish paper trading with circular trading. Circular trading in a genuine case, very possible. I mean, very easy to argue and possible arguments, many possible arguments. Paper trading basic thing is there is no goods, there is no supply at all. Now it is possible in the genuine multi five parties, say paper trading, arrange circular trading. There is goods available, but no supply, the department alleges. Now this is where alleged. The department says there is no proof of delivery, there is no transport proof. At that point of time, the constructive delivery, because there is some other name, what we call accommodation bills also to this. Accommodation bills are, they are neither not permitted or permitted. What is happening for the GST purposes, whether there was transfer of ownership in the goods from A to B. That would always be there. What happens is when A supplies to B, the B becomes owner. Even if the goods are in the warehouse of A, B becomes owner. B supplies to C, C becomes the owner. Similarly, when it goes back, he gets the ownership back to him. Therefore, most important is it's circular trading with existence of goods. You must distinguish with paper trading. And it's not easy. Only it is easy, only it is possible to argue where everybody in the chain has paid the taxes. Now in April 2009, there was judgment of Zenith Computers. Now this was a judgment of similar circular trading. It was alleged that there is no supply and therefore there is no goods and therefore these are not transactions of sales at all. The Bombay Tribunal look into it very carefully. They have looked into the concept of sale also and they have come to conclusion the parties were existing. Now see, when this circular trading proving comes, first and foremost thing you require is all the parties should be genuine, existing. For any reason, if they are closed, there should be some window available to you to get proper details, confirmation, etc. Now, in such case only, you can prove that yes, there was this circular trading, but everybody has paid the tax, everybody has claimed the input tax credit, and there is no loss of revenue. Now, no loss of revenue is one of the very good argument, but not always accepted by the department. According to me, it is one of the finest argument, and of course, subject to your being able to prove the other things. Now, next thing is 22. There's a difference. Okay, I have to go up. This slide is not going up, but there is something down below there also. Now, payment before the investigation done. This is one of the very, very important aspect. We all know the dealers are forced to make the payment. Yes, the raid search will continue for 3 days, 5 days. They have their target. They would say, unless you give me this amount, I will not give. This man says, ये मेरा genuine है, सबने tax भरा है, किसी ने नहीं. There is no chori, there is no revenue loss. Why you are insisting on it? Nonetheless, they may force you to make the payment of tax. Now, when you make such forced payment of tax, unfortunately, under the GST, without return, it is not possible to make payment. Therefore, you would file a return. The officer sits on the computer and files a return with the higher liability, etc. What is the defense trick? What you have to do? You have to immediately, on making the payment only, write to the same officer that this payment is made under protest without my right, without prejudice to my right to challenge it in the court of law or challenge it as illegal levy. You need not go to High Court every time. You see, this is very important. High Court, except in exceptional cases, do not entertain investigation case. High Court is normally of firm belief that yes, whatever it is, you go and prove. Don't come to us. We are not going to look into the factual aspect. Wow, what happens? Because when you go to High Court, before you can even open the brief, the other side will say, my lord, there was a raid, there was a evasion of 200 crores, 300 crores. Usko kya jata hai? He keeps on saying any number of crores. And then the judge is prejudiced, obviously. Judge thinks, मैं क्यों यहाँ decide करूँ? It's a difficult proposition. I don't want to look into these minor facts. Because when you have to prove the ownership, when you have to prove who is liable, you have to go to the minor facts. The courts under 226 are not supposed to go to the minor facts. Therefore, what happens? They will remand the matter back to the assessing officer, telling him that yes, you have to check this and you have to ensure that whether you have to find out whether the tax is payable, interest is payable, or nothing is payable. Everything is possible. Now, when we talk of such details, I'm also aware of the fact that even the non-genuine dealers does some genuine business. He can prove some of the transactions with the help of his computer, etc. And this is what we have to give. Whether my action of making the payment would depend on the amount involved. Obviously, yes. See, what happens is when the amount involved is few lakhs, 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs, litigation is not viable. Litigation is a costly affair. So if you say that yes, I know you are a genuine transaction, let us fight it out. This poor fellow says, sir, 5 lakh मैं धंधा करूंगा कि लड़ने जाऊंगा कि आपको फीस दूंगा. Therefore, in small cases, they would always say, let us make the payment and buy peace. But even if you make the payment, pay under 73, write a letter, payment under protest, goods were received by you, and the payment is made only because the input tax credit is alleged to be not correct. And you have to say that I have received the goods, I have received the invoice also, and on my side. And then only you can help your customer. Otherwise, how the customer would be saved? The next would be, if now so many times it has happened in VAT, even now people are saying that मेरे कस्टमर के नाम पे मैं भर दूं के पैसा, मुझे मैंने तो एफिडेविट दे दिया कि मैंने धंधा नहीं किया. But now the customers in the chain, the subsequent persons are holding me by neck. तुम्हारे भरोसे भी धंधा किया था, हमने तो माल लिया है, अभी तुम ही पैसा भरो. So how would he make the payment? Should he make the payment in his name, or should he make the payment in the name of the customer? Ideally, don't do anything. Two reasons. Number one, if the payment is made in the name of the person who is declared hawala, non-genuine, or he has given an affidavit, he may not be hawala, but because he did not want to pay the huge amount, he has raised his hand. But for some dealers, he has good relation, maybe family, he wants to clear them. He cannot clear them. Because even if he makes, suppose he has done hawala business of tax value of 50 lakhs. There are family concerns up to 10 lakhs or so, and he wants to clear them. He says, I will make the payment and you will be clear. Whether the subsequent buyer, I'm sorry, there is work going on and there is a lot of noise on that account. Then the person who is a subsequent buyer, whether he can claim that he has paid 10 lakhs, you give me credit of the 10 lakhs. No, that is not possible. Why it is not possible? Department will say, this 10 lakhs he has paid for the total 50 lakhs liability. How can you say it is paid on my behalf or XYZ behalf? So you don't get credit. So don't even ask them to make payment. I have known many of the persons, Janabhai would remember Rajesh Mehta, Metal King, the mastermind in metal market. He paid crores of rupees because some of the customers were holding his neck. What happened? The department took it and kept with them. They have not passed on any credit. Although there is a circular, if there is a disallowance on account of match mismatch, and there is a recovery later on or a defaulter, the department will refund it to the claimant dealer. In case of hawala non-genuine, no such refund. The money goes into government treasury. Therefore, once having declared that yes, I have done hawala business, I have not done genuine business, he should not make any payment. Once he makes a payment, it is not going to help anybody except the government. Then, whether the genuine dealer, person who has purchased the goods actually, maybe he's given wrong bill, he should make the payment. The answer is yes. If the amount is small or big, the call is his. He has to decide. In case of GST, be very careful. There are distinctions between before issuance of show cause notice, after issuance of show cause notice, before the order. There are various steps, various slabs for the penalty also, 10%, 25%, all these steps. There is no penalty also if in case of 73, where there is no fraud and concealment, and you have found that yes, 2A is not matching. That's a basic thing. Now 2A is not matching. The department may say he's non-genuine, he'll pay the tax. You better pay the tax. You make the payment. You disclose it you reverse it, DC3 or DSC3, something is called, DSC3. And you would be out of it. No penalty if you make under 73. In case of 73, 74, there are 10% penalty, 25%, there are slabs in the system. You have to go as per that. I'm not going to discuss. But the purpose of discussing this is merely making payment by your supplier is not going to help if he is declared non-genuine. So circular trading comes to an end there. Forget your claim of circular trading. Forget he has filed the return. Forget he is showing the audit report also. Auditors are supposed to see the actual delivery. How can they verify delivery after 1 year? They will only see the invoice, tax invoice, nothing else. They are not saying, they may see delivery, e-way bill, everything. They are not supposed to vouch whether there was actual delivery. They will see the transfer proof. Transfer proof, how can they work? They are not your very standard term used by the chartered accountant. They are not bloodhounds. They are not supposed to find out that there is something fishy in this, they would go by records and certify that. So the audit report, filing return, nothing proves. If one person files an affidavit, accepts affidavit or gives a statement, deposition, that he has not done genuine business, that he has not delivered the goods. Now, one thing, if he gives a statement, a very nicely coded statement, that I have done genuine business, but I have not taken delivery of goods. Yes, it is a good case for you to argue. But of course, his non-payment is going to be in your way. But in all these cases, in the circular trading, even genuine circular trading, as we call it is not possible to move, and nothing, I mean, no litigation will help you. Let me point out. If one person in the chain declares he has not taken delivery, he has not done genuine business, not taken delivery, not, I can still prove that yes, the goods were there with A sold to B to me, and I have sold to XYZ, who has sold goods to him, and A is again sold to 100 more parties. But if he says this was non-genuine, if he says I have not paid the tax, I have declared, but I am a defaulter, and I have not taken delivery, he may be right. Because it's a case of construction delivery. It is a case of A holding the goods in trust for the entire chain. Now, frankly speaking, what we are discussing is really an ideal situation. It rarely happens that way. The ideal situation, as in Zenith Computer, where he could prove, because there also the Bombay Tribunal say that let it be. But it can be that there are goods they have done to enhance that market price. Absolutely no problem. As long as the goods exist, as long as you are able to prove at the end of circular trading, goods have moved out of the circulation and sold to XYZ. Now, what happens is 100 tons goods are circulated 500 times. If they are circulated 500 times, the goods will not multiply by 500 times. They become 100 tons only. So it would be your task as a consultant to prove it was 100 only, it remained 100 only. It has merely changed the hands and legally permitted delivery order, transfer of, warehouse receipt. So many things are possible to prove. It does not happen. Normally, it does not happen. I'm telling you, all these things, circular trading is done normally as a paper trading nowadays. Under AMVET, it was possible to some extent. But now the business people have become more bold and they are saying, chalo chalu kar dete. Then they vanish in thin air. The genuine person who has purchased the goods from X, taken bill of Y, he is in trouble. He has to pay the tax. Interest penalty is applicable. The next is, we will go to 22. So as I said, don't expect that your supplier would pay 10 lakhs and you will get the credit of 10 lakhs. No. They would say it will be a portion for the entire 50 lakhs. So if there are 10 dealers, it would be divided by 10. You might be successful in claiming the credit of 1/10. Very difficult. The next is, sorry, this I've already discussed. Now, proof of final sale of goods, I already said. Now comes the forced admission under section 67. As I said, these persons are forced many a times. There are lady entrepreneurs, so many people. But what happens is the raid continues over days and days. They don't find anything. They are saying the goods are moving in, coming, everything is proper, there is no problem. And still, you have given some admission. Because they would say, unless you admit 50 lakhs, we will not move. You must depose, you must deposit. And under the GST, admission means showing in the return, because there is no payment by way of challan under the GST. So you show the return. How do you retract? The retraction would be once the basic principle of retraction is if there is a statement made at the time of raid, it should be retracted at the earliest possible opportunity. Earliest possible means within 3 days, 4 days, within a month, but not after 3 years, not after 6 months when you consult somebody and you say, no, we hum kuch karte hain. Can't do it. Cross-examination of the person who is deposed, yes, it's a good defense, but it is coupled with the cost, because if it is only when the sufferer of the input tax claim, whose claim is denied, willing to fight tooth and nail because the supplier is given a retraction and he can take his cross-examination to prove that this was a forced retraction and not at all applicable. Actually, he's a defaulter. Then the defaulter will have to pay the tax also. So in such case, if they pay the tax as per the return, then they will have to assess as per return. Now, what happens under the GST is something very typical. Everybody files and pays the tax on the value added. Once there is disallowance, once there is a default for one return, till you make good that return payment, you cannot move to the next return. Therefore, the default continues over the period of time. And then it comes to an end where it is not possible for the dealer to go back. And he would only say, I'm not a genuine dealer. Now, this, therefore, within smaller groups and sister concerns circular trading, if everybody files the return, goods exist, all these things, positive things exist, it may be a good case to say that this may be a circular trading, but the goods did exist. It is a genuine transaction. But let me point out, this circular trading also, the benefits are very short term. Maybe you get financial assistance, but you do end up in multiple litigation. Now, constructive delivery, whether a good defense, yes, a good defense in a genuine transaction of a smaller group. But if there are more persons involved, and there is bound to be defaulter, so don't really rely on such thing. Rest parameters of genuine transaction, if they exist, constructive deliveries are a good case. Now, presumption. Our law says it shall be presumed that you had a culpable state of mind. Yes, culpable state. But we have another presumption. Under 16.2, we read in the very beginning, if the supply is by A to C to a third person on instruction of the registered person, it shall be presumed that there is a supply of goods or service or both. Now, this is something which you can, take help of in case of smaller group, not in the bigger group, not in case of the paper trading. Again and again, I am saying, whatever circular trading we are talking, we should not think of the fake paper bill, etc. Now, forced payment, we have said. Sections, loss of revenue. Now, normally the argument is that you have cheated the government. You have claimed invalid input tax credit, and therefore there is a loss of revenue, and therefore they want to recover from each and every person. Now, there again, I have said earlier, 76 says tax collected has to be paid. But in case of paper trading, the argument in litigation is very simple. You can't eat the cake and have it too. If the department says if there is no transaction of sale and purchase, you are disallowing the input tax credit based on the deposition of XYZ, then I have not purchased the goods. You disallow my sale also, reduce my turnover of sale also. They may forfeit the amount, the subsequent buyer may get the benefit also. But otherwise, it is not possible that they will not collect goods from tax from all. Yes, it's a case of unjust enrichment. But unfortunately, the crisscross in the law is such that the more you try to save, you will be more entangled into that. Therefore, If only you have a clear case, try to argue clear circular trading. That is the only thing. Now summons, etc. Summons come to you, to the dealer, you means dealer. What are the precautions you should take? Number one, check your transactions. Number two, when to go. If you are caught on Friday and if your concealment is set 3 crores of rupees, please don't go. Because this 3 crore, they can estimate to 5 crore anytime. They will put you under arrest, estimating 5 crores. And Saturday, Sunday, you will be behind the bar. Monday, once there is allegation of concealment fraud, normally even the bail is difficult. After the judicial custody, of course, after 10 days or so, they may allow you to go. There are judgments which I will come later on, they have allowed later on. But now, therefore, what do? Don't go on. Please don't go on Fridays. Have some reason, whatever reason, you can buy time. You can say, I'm searching data. Genuinely, you will have to have proper data and go on Monday, so that even if they arrest you, you have it the time next day to present yourself and present your case. There are many defense possible. I'm not saying defense is not possible, especially in case of bail. But the magistrates have become wiser, and the argument on the other side is always fraud on the department, fraud on the revenue, fraud on the government, concealment. And of course, the magistrate is drawn by such argument and you are put behind bars. In case of, if your, say, your show cause notice is for 1 crore, 70 lakhs, fine. You may go because mostly it will not be stretched to 5 crores. You go with proper details. Then what happens? A very nice thing, because up to 1 crore, no arrest. 1 crore to 2 crore to 3 crore, 3 crore, 5 crore, there are some steps given. It is a deputy commissioner who has the power to grant you bail. Now, if the deputy commissioner has power to grant you bail, what happens is very common. You will have to satisfy the officer that yes, my default is only 2 crores and therefore please give me bail. He has the power to arrest you also, but he has also power to give you bail on surrendering some bonds. Some bonds are there, there is a standard. INS 1, 2, 3, 4 are the forms. There are a variety of forms in that. Now that power is there. So what happens is, I had one case when one dealer says, I am under paper arrest. I said, what is paper arrest? मैंने तो सुना नहीं ऐसा कभी. तो बोले नहीं मैडम पेपर अरेस्ट है, आप देखो. When the papers came, I realized that he was arrested by the DC. He was given bail also. It happens on the paper. But yes, once you are on a bail, the condition of bail is bound on you. Therefore, you have to present whenever he calls once. If you don't remain present on the day he calls, he has the power to arrest you. Please remember this. So that is, it's not easy. Even if you are given bail, the conditions bound you. Now, writ to High Court. Now, so many times the dealer comes in, madam हमने कुछ गलत नहीं किया, माल है, हमारा तो एक्साइजेबल यूनिट है, goods inwards का, we have all the data registered. I mean, in my register also the entry is there. Now, since he has not paid his default or whatever it is, मुझे माल मिला है, ये इनवॉइस पे मिला है. अगर वो ऐसे बोल रहे हैं, whether he can go to High Court, let me tell you friends, High Court would not be a proper remedy. For the simple reason, in case of investigation, normally High Court will not interfere. Except the case where you want to say that these are neither goods nor service, and therefore the investigation, that is beyond our today's subject. This is not in part of fake invoice, because when you talk of fake invoice, fake input tax relief, that means there is this relation to goods and services or both. But otherwise, High Court would never be intervening. So don't even rush to High Court. You will have to know therefore, the dealer should be coached properly. Dealer should be told what are his rights, what are his liability, what are the avenues available to him. Unless he knows the avenues available, he will not be able to take the action. What happens normally is, dealer normally say that by chudao humko, paisa bhar dete hai, he may incur huge loss. But even if you make the payment of 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs, 50 lakhs, would you be saved under the Income Tax Act? There also 271(1)(d) or some new penalty has come, where the penalty for fake invoice and everything is there, apart from the tax and other things. Therefore, even if you pay 10 lakhs, 50 lakhs, whatever you want to make payment, the client wants to buy peace, he has to make a statement. Now in the return, there is no column to write. So you have to write immediate letter to the enforcement officer, loan officer, whatever, that whatever payment I have made, they are payment made under protest without prejudice to my right. I have received the goods, I have supplied the goods, or I have used it in manufacturing, whatever you want to say. And therefore, your subsequent customers are also saved and your income tax is also saved. Otherwise, income tax will be levied. Now, under the income tax also, they become smarter. Next, the key points. We will summarize because we have around half an hour. I'll be summarizing within 10 minutes or so, and some question answer, if possible, we'll take. Now, therefore, what are the key points the profession should have? Now, few more, I think, slides hereafter. I must thank Mr. Parth Badheka because he has loaned them to me. I had no time to prepare so many slides, and therefore he said he can use this. Now, we advise client, keep your books in proper manner, maintain your stock, maintain your cash, all the locations you must have proper verification on regular interval and everything, and file your returns in time. I have found many a times non-filing of return for 3 months, then 6 months, now it is cancellation of RC. RC is cancelled, GST is cancelled, and there is immediately investigation dropping in. And at that point, you may not have entered into this fake billing or circular trading, nothing, but still you come into trouble because you have not filed the return. Therefore, there you see in every business there can be some loophole. Not that every time they are 100% clean, they may not be. Even if they are clean, there may be some non-maintenance of record, details, etc. They may come into trouble. So therefore, you must ensure that the client is normally advised to maintain proper order of books and everything. Now, there are way forward. You know, retraction is one way forward. We have also seen in such cases of investigation, normally the officer will sit on your computer. The law says you have to allow him access to even the computers and everything. So you will have to, even if you don't give, they are smart. They can dig into your emails. Your emails would reveal so many non-genuine transactions. So therefore, the track of non-genuine nowadays is very easy to find out. Seize materials, etc. You can ask that whatever you are taking away, give me the receipt. Yes, he would give you the receipt, but rest assured, it will not come to you for a long time till the litigation is over or till you make the payment. Now, therefore, all this, communication on WhatsApp also with your customer can put you in trouble. Therefore, be very careful in advising your client that no business talk on, although WhatsApp for business, I have seen WhatsApp for business also is possible, but don't indulge into such thing because they are the clear pointers to your guilt, if I may say so. Penalty in the offense is multiple. We need not discuss them also. But penalty is bifurcated. 122.2, if you see, 122.2 says the penalty on account of course, issuing fake invoice and everything is covered. I need not go because we all have read it 10 empty number of times. But 122.2 is important because they say that if the amount is not paid, short paid, erroneously refunded, etc., and IT is wrongly availed, then if it is on account of fraud, of course, they will be liable to penalty equal to 10,000 rupees or the tax due from the person, whichever is higher. But if it is not on account of fraud or evasion of tax, then penalty would be 10,000 or 10% of the tax due. Now, this is really a welcome feature here where if you make the payment under 73, 10% will apply. Otherwise, full will apply. Now, penalty is also bifurcated. We'll not go into that. Now, most important issue which we are now concerned, which I will be now discussing for another 10 minutes or so, is how far the professionals are liable. Especially after this, where this section now amended refers to the abatement. Because 122.3 says, any person who aids or abets any of the offenses specified in 1-21 of subsection 1, into bracket, transporters, accountants, consultants, managers, even the GST officer can possibly fit into if they are passing the e-way bill or maybe some connivance there. They all would fall under this. Therefore, what happens next? Sorry. They have now used the new term in this subsection. It says that any person, 1A, any person who retains the benefits. Now, retains the benefit. Sorry, it is not visible here because of the color. Who retains the benefit or benefit of a transactions covered under clause 1, 2, and 8 or clause 9 of subsection 1 and at whose instance the transaction is conducted would be liable for penalty of an amount equivalent to the tax evaded or ITC availed or passed on. Now, this is most important. But here it helps to the consultant also. Because by any chance, can you say that the consultant has retained the benefit in any way? Retaining the benefit, I have explained, it essentially means keeping or getting the share of undue proceeds of profit. Conducing means leading to contribute or result. See, if you conducing to a certain negative result, then there is a conducement. But that conducement cannot be proved in case of a tax consultant or a tax professional. Now, then what happens? These are penal section. Then comes the prosecution. You see, the consultant, STP, advocate, CA, they are not worried with the penalty. They can fight out. They are more worried about the punishment under 132. Now, 132 has the offenses listed therein. We need not refer because issuing bogus hawala invoice, getting fake credit, everything is covered by that. Then the next is, sorry, this is too small. I'll read out from my main one. Give me a minute. Yes. I'm not going to read the list where it supplies, collects, amount of tax, etc. But it is, penalty is quasi-criminal in nature and has the criminal jurisprudence needs to be seen. Now, one judgment is cited here, Gaura Venkata Reddy, etc., one judgment of Supreme Court in 2003, where it is stated that a person can be made liable for abatement only for following reasons. Now, They have said, the Supreme Court has said very clearly, main offense and abatement, there are two different offenses. Just because the main offense is proved, abatement is not proved. Abatement is a separate charge, will have to be proved with the proof of the evidence. And what is it? It is said, abatement is when he instigates any person to do a thing, engages one or more persons in any conspiracy to do the wrong things, intentionally aids acts or illegal omission in doing such things. These things are essential for abatement. Instigate would mean provoke, incite, urge, bring out, or with persuasion telling to do something. Now, one thing is there, whether the profession would do this. Normal profession would never do this. Unfortunately, what happens? Some of the professions have the business also. They have the practice also. Business may be in wife's name or anything, whatever. But if the defendant, the state, is able to prove the abatement, because number one, you have sent an email saying that no, nothing will happen. You can do this. Absolutely no problem. Please don't do this. Once you do this, that means you are part of such non-genuine transaction. So what is the precaution required to be taken by a tax profession? Number one, please do not write any such, I would say, wrong advice email to your clients, nor even give them written opinion that yes, this is circular trading, even without goods it is possible because the XYZ cases. No. Once you have given an advice, a wrong advice, I am saying wrong advice because there is no existence of goods, and still you are saying, all right, go ahead, I am there to see. Don't worry, go ahead. You have said them on phone, there is some recording, there is some WhatsApp message. Please don't indulge to those things. Then you come into the clutches of abatement. Let me point out, friends, it may be easy for the department to prove the original offense. Yes, but abatement is not easy. Yes, it would result in harassment. You would be harassed to a greater extent. Probably they may say, why your license to practice should not be cancelled, etc. They might complain to the Institute Bar Council or to the Commission to cancel your GST and STP registration. All these things are possible. And I've seen one of the case, I will not name that person, but there was a case where, not a fake trading case, but somehow in the very beginning of his career, he tendered wrong evidence in the registration proceeding. Now you remember under the VAT it used to happen, for reference people used to give, STP used to give their own reference. Never do this. Even in GST, and never give your own reference. Let him find the reference. If you don't have anything, you are not entitled to do it. But as a consultant, just to earn 20,000-25,000 rupees, don't give your reference because that might put you in trouble. And at the same time, now we come to a very important part. Presence of a consultant at the time of raid or at the time of deposition. Whether they should go. My frank advice is there is no need to go. Whatever advice you may have given to him about his rightful business, he knows it. He would give the answer accordingly. But once you are there, one case of Supreme Court I have seen where they say that the consultant can be, there was a case under the criminal. He said, I fear that they will hit him to get the deposition. So he says, yes, you can be within the eye shot, but not the ear shot. Like means you cannot hear what he is giving. You can see what he is, whether he's beaten or not. But that was a criminal proceedings. When it comes to here, Many a times they allow you to sit. You may sit. Please don't prompt your client. You're not allowed to prompt your client. On the contrary, what happens is, end of the statement, officer will record. This statement is recorded in the presence of the consultant, authorized legal representative, and therefore, if you have to retract that, it's going to be difficult. That time, retraction is almost impossible. So many a times when the client says, "Arey rate pade hai, 25 din se baithe hai, madam aap ek bar aa jao," I said, no need to come. It has to finish at its own course, in his own course, whatever. I mean, deposition diya, nahi diya, payment of tax kiya, nahi kiya, is all. But once the presence of a legal representative is there, the presumption can be that the dealer knew what he's doing and he has given correct deposition. Retraction, impossible. And that is why never even attend any, you see what happens is this. So many times, some consultant go there saying that, kuch rasta kar dete uska. Please don't get carried on with such things, because it does not help your dealer in the longer period. And therefore, you should not, indulge into such shortcut of somehow satisfying the officer and closing the file. What will happen is, he would not close the file. We have seen in my 40 years of practice, kuch bhi settle kiya, ultimately jo piche aata hai, he would come and he would say, this investigation is not closed. I want to take your statement now. And then you will have to go and give the statement, because the file is not closed. They never close. They cannot close. Rebuttable presumption, etc. we will not go into. Now, prosecution, we have seen there is a circular on summons. The CBIC has very clearly said, as far as possible, avoid calling the managing director or the CEO, etc. Still, the threat is, if you don't give deposition, we'll call your director. And poor accountant, poor the director who is here, he is afraid the managing director is going to fire him if he has to come and give deposition. Many a times, managing director or CEO do not know what is happening. They are not even aware whether there are any circular trading or not. It's not their part of the business. Similarly, for the profession. Now, suppose you have taken part in the registration proceeding, you have done the audit also, and then he is caught, he gives statement, there is no business. The officer will issue notice to you as a chartered accountant that you have audited the books of account. Please let me know what you have verified. You have not verified actual delivery. The answer is, my audit is at the end of the day, end of the year. I am not supposed to see the delivery of goods or not. I have to see the proof. Delivery proof is there. His invoice is proper. The bank is there. The ledger confirmation may be there. The transaction closes. I am not supposed to go behind the record to find out the concealment by the officer. And when such notice comes, please be very firm. As a tax consultant, tax profession, advocate, you need to be very firm. They would not have an iota of evidence to show that you have shown them to do something. The dealer may have deposed. Hamara CA ne bataya to kiya. He may say anything. Where is the proof that I have informed him? We have not advised them anything. As a tax profession, you cannot advise anything against the law. Remember that very, very clearly. And there can be no presumption that you have given them wrong advice. That presumption, rebuttable presumption, is in case of the main offender, not in case of abetment. Abetment, the burden is on the department. And there can be no case where they can say that you are, you have to prove that you are not guilty. No, it is their proof. Screen sharing paused? No. Culpable mental state and all is not applicable to the profession, the tax profession. Yes, it is applicable to the dealer, the registered person. I think arrests, etc. we will not go into, because there are slides where we have explained what is meant under the IPC, etc. Really speaking, it is not considered. But of course, I would like you to go through. I would now pause this, and Sejal, I will have to go to one. Maybe I can transfer to you because the time is very short. There is an index of the case laws about the reasonable reason to believe. Section 67 starts with reason to believe. Bombay High Court, I have given 15 judgments in that. I will share with you. You can circulate. In one Ketan Enterprises case under the BST Act, it was under the maybe VAT Act or BST Act, they had forced him to make the 25 lakhs part payment also. In that time also, reason to believe was not to be recorded in writing. Today, there are case laws, ample case laws, where it says that reason to believe has to be recorded by the officer before sanctioning 67. Now, it need not be disclosed to the person who is being rated. But as the litigation goes to the higher level, you have the right to ask for inspection of the record. And if it is found that no reason is recorded, see, the law is fishing inquiry is not permitted. You should have reason to believe, because the Supreme Court has, in one of the latest judgment, given although they have remanded, they have said that arrest is a horror. It has to be taken with a pinch of salt. It should not be taken as a regular measure. And in case of Sapna trading, in my slide it has come later on, Supreme Court has said that the time has come when whether 67, especially 132, is 67 is valid. 69, there are doubt. 132, there are doubt. Constitutionally valid or not must be referred to 3-member bench. So if you have a genuine case, I would request you to take it to a logical end so that the dealer is saved. Because say it is not only sales tax, GST, you should bother income tax. There can be FEMA, FERA, so many other, because there are always the exchange of information between CBDT and CBIC. So you face multiple music, and ultimately the registered person does not gain anything. He pays lakhs of rupees and is not freed of the charges also. Thank you very much, friends. If the organizer feels there is time, some few questions we can take. Yes, Alok ji.
Yeah, we can take 1 or 2 questions. Sejal?
We have few questions.
Yeah,
Please.
take.
In the chat box, I can't see. I think.
I'll read it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The first question is, in case a service is received and the GST registration is not showing service registered, and the department claims that it is fake ITC because of not mentioning service in GST registration, in such a case, how to tackle it?
Very easy. I mean, you have to take it to a logical end, because if the service is not entered, whether it is on your failure. See, there are judgments where say technical failure of not intimating the officer is not culpable state of mind. And it also does not mean that you cannot carry on the business. You can now also inform if you have not intimated. And in this case, as he said, it was intimated but not shown in the system. I think he need not worry. He has to fight it tooth and nail. And he will have to first represent. See, there are 2-3 things. Number one, if you have not intimated, please do it now. And request to include it retrospectively. Fair enough. They have right to include it retrospectively, because you have got 30 days time to intimate. There can be delay for valid reason. There can be some person caught in corona, some death in the family. So many reasons you could not intimate in time. but that does not make a genuine transaction non-genuine.
Okay. Thank you so
Next.
much for that. Yeah. The next one is like in one of the cases, the client had received goods from the supplier where the HSN code wrongly reported where GST applicable was 28%. But he charged 18% and the client has sold goods by charging 18%. But the department is forcing to pay additional 10% GST. Now, what is the code?
Yes, you get input tax credit only to the extent of tax paid by him, not a rupee more. So if he has paid 18, you will get 18. Maybe you are called upon on your supply to pay 28%. The department is going to go to him. They will go and collect. If they collect in future, you would be justified in claiming that now he has paid, you give him my money.
Yeah, but in this
till he
case,
pays, you get only 18%.
yeah, but in this case, he said the HSN code was wrongly reported by the client.
There are so many things because see, GSTN is new. It is possible it is wrong, but you see, unfortunately, it is the duty cast on the dealer, the registered person, and the chartered accountants who are doing the audit to report correct HSN. And therefore, so many times it happens that the auditor will have to go deep into before justifying the HSN number also. Even if the dealer is, we have a case where dealer has been dealing in the goods for 30 years using the same HSN which was wrong.
Okay.
Find out if whether wrong HSN or right HSN, the goods, the description of goods is important. HSN wrong is a technical problem. With that HSN also, when you supply the goods, you have to use the correct HSN.
Yeah, so you will have to pay the balance GST. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. The next
Can't
question is RCM is
pay
paid
under
but self.
73 before show cause so that there is no penalty also.
True.
Yeah. Next, sorry.
RCM is paid but self invoice not prepared. Still, officer says that the said credit to be reversed. Now, can we go and appeal in this case?
You should, but why you have not raised the invoice? Because that's basic requirement. It's a technical fault. You may say the accountants missed out or whatever it is. Because you have shown in the return, you have paid the tax. That is more important. Yes, the law requires that invoice to be prepared. It may be prepared at a later date. But then after 3 years, you can't say that I missed out. But you have disclosed, that's more important. Try.
Yeah, I think you should have
70% chance in your favor.
3B, if he has not disclosed in a 3B,
sorry.
then
I'm
then
sorry,
it's a
please.
different argument. If he can pay RCM later.
Yeah, I'm saying he has filed the return. Not shown is different issue.
But madam, even though the tax has been paid to RCM, still if the invoices are not prepared, they can reverse it. By law, they can reverse it.
But how would you show in the return without showing the invoice number?
No.
It is a
Okay.
hypothetical query here.
Okay.
You have to disclose in the return RCM. Now, if you disclose, you put the invoice number.
No, madam, it's not like that. See, I'll tell you what Alok is trying to say.
Maybe I'm not filing return, so let it be explained.
Understand what Alok is trying to say is that you might have paid RCM, you might have showed in 3B. When you show in 3B, there is only one column where you say that RCM is there.
Yes.
But when you are filing GSTR1 or whatever, there is a column where you have to make a self invoice and put that as invoice number RCM1, RCM2, RCM3. Now, he may not have put that, but he has paid the amount. That case, does he have to still reverse or not is a question.
GSTR1, they are allowing to amend now.
Pardon me?
GSTR1, are they allowing to amend? Mr. Bhagani was telling they are allowing.
Time is gone. Let's presume that time is gone.
Yes.
Time is gone, then you are in soup. If it is a big case, some high court can be helping you. Otherwise, the technicalities are so strange. You cannot disclose now, and therefore you may go and see. These are all high court and all would come when the amount involved is in lakhs. RCM in lakhs is not possible. So if it is a small amount, you might accept and buy a piece.
Yeah.
But
if there is another technical way out, I don't know because I don't file the returns. So
there is no technical. Let me explain.
Bhagani has any solution? Bhagani has any solution?
Janak bhai, over to you.
भाई म्यूट छो तुम्हें. Janak bhai, you are.
No, he's not on mute.
I'm asking you, Vagani, any solution because I don't know return.
He's not. We cannot hear him. Janak bhai, we cannot hear you.
You are self-muted, Janak bhai. Unmute karo.
Unmute करो साहब. No.
Your laptop is on mute. Your laptop voice is on mute. Laptop voice mic or something.
Okay, we'll get back later to him. We'll
Yeah,
okay,
move to
Janak.
the next one. Yeah. Can you throw some light on circular trading on services?
I have not come across anything so far, except
Okay.
claiming wrong services. Frankly, I have not come across any so far.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So-
why I have said subcontractor. You see, when a main contractor is there, he may have 5, 6 subcontractor. One of them may be fake. There may not be any such transaction, but still
Hello.
he claims it was a subcontractor.
Hello.
Yes,
Yes,
Vagani, you are audible now.
Yes, Janak.
Asha, now, Nikita Ben, that
Go on.
RCM invoice need not to be shown in the two-way because it is a self-invoicing. Now the condition is that there are the two kind of the RCM, where the RCM bill is under section 9(3) from the registered dealer. There the RCM invoice shows the details of the taxes. Now the RCM ITC is not on the basis of the RCM invoices; it is on the base on the payment of the tax. So even though invoice is not generated, then there is
Okay.
no problem in claim of the ITC.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Janak.
Vagani, any example of circular trading in services? That it happens in construction contracts. Some
It cannot happen, sir.
No, there are the
Because it's
that
very-
Satyam, Nikita Ben, the Satyam case is very important. That in that case, there was a supply of manpower services. There was no manpower. Now, when I claim that I have paid the tax on supply of manpower services, and actually it is a fake invoices. There is no supply of the service. So there
So
can
it
be
is a
an
case of fake invoice.
fake invoice. But there can't be any case where the service is not received actually.
Yeah.
On the contrary, section 13, provision for time of the payment provides a presumption of supply of the service. When the
Yes.
invoice covers the supply, invoice covers the amount and the tax is charged, there is a presumption of supply of the services. Now, when there is a supply of the service for charging the tax, then for ITC also it should apply that. There is a deemed receipt of the services.
Therefore, will it be safe to conclude that normally there can't be circular trading in services?
All upon facts of the case, Nikita Ben. In case of a
Because
subcontract, I mean,
the
in case of a
register, I
subcontract,
said contractor, subcontractor is there possible.
but
That's
there
only
is no tax
building
liability.
construction industry.
No, but
Now,
people are
we have,
our businessmen have got a different mind than us.
Their
So let us
mind
leave
is
it to
running
the
very
facts.
fast.
Let us leave it to the facts of the case.
Circular trading. Can I give you one example of circular trading services, if at all? I don't know. अभी तक याद नहीं है, idea नहीं है लोगों को.
मेरा ध्यान में तो नहीं है, आज तक
I'm
नहीं
not
आया।
saying
So leave
that.
it. No, I have the case now. Leave it.
yeah,
we
Mr.
should not, because there are no cases.
has given one example. He has written in the question tab that manpower broadcasting services are examples of it, maybe.
leave it to
Advertising
the facts of the
broadcasting
case.
services में it does go. The trading also happens. When it comes to trading also happens. But manpower, I doubt. मतलब.
But that's a fake invoice, madam, in that case. It's not the genuine circular trading what we discussed.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
selling of advertising rights, Vagane sir, it can happen. One person sells to another person, he sells to another person. That selling of advertising rights, it can happen. Now that you can say it is a service.
But it can't be a circular trading.
It cannot be, because eventually it
then
has
it
to
is
end up with someone.
it is a case of the sublease and sublicense. Huh?
Yes. Trading can happen, but it's very difficult.
Yeah.
I think it
let's-
is not
let us-
beneficial to the dealer, so they will not do it.
Let us leave it to the department, investigation department. We should not bother our mind on that.
Correct.
Okay, move on.
Okay, we move on. Mr. Dilip Phadke, we don't understand the question. Like he has mentioned, is there no e-way bill delivery can't be proved? I mean, if there is no e-way bill delivery, something you need to exaggerate on that and please write
I think
again.
what Phadke sir is saying is he's adding on to saying that if there is no EA bill, then can you ideally you cannot delivery happens if there is no
Delivery can't be proved. Yeah, but what is further that he needs to ask on that?
it is
Okay,
a
Nikita, what he wants to ask, okay, when I could not produce the e-way bill, but there is a movement of the goods. So, but in absence of the e-way bill, can be said that there is no delivery of the goods. Like the way there can be a violation of the e-way bill provision.
No, that's possible. But now it has become so regular.
Now, but otherwise may not be true. I have got the e-way bill, but despite that also department can prove there is no delivery of the goods.
Yeah, they can. Why not?
Yeah.
Yes. Fake e-way bill to chalu hai abhi bhi. I mean, genuine e-way bill without delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah, what Vagani sir is right because Phadke sir has just clarified. He's saying whether there will be supply when there is no e-way bill. So the answer to that is yes, there will be a contravention of the e-way bill, but you cannot say that
There
there is no
can
supply.
be. There can be
Even
supply without e-way bill.
even without bill also there can be a supply of the goods. That is the number
Yes,
two
yes, yes.
transaction. But you can't get the ITC. That's a different story.
Correct.
And in the case of accounting services provided by tax professionals, like preparing invoices, e-way bills, can he be accounted for fake invoices or for fraud?
Very interesting question. Let me point out because this has happened in one of the live case I'm handling. See, what happens is accountants are not supposed to verify the sale and purchase actual movement of goods. The accountant acts on the information given to them by the proprietor, director, or whoever CEO or whoever is in charge in the chain. Therefore, the accountant is not supposed to look into the exact or actual delivery of the goods. He is not supposed to stand at the warehouse and check whether a bill banaya maal gaya ki nahi. Yes, if it is part of his duty, he should do it. But normally an accountant, he goes by the invoice, he prepares the accounts based on the invoice.
Okay.
Madam, this one
But-
question by Mr. Chetan Dhabalia is the
Yes.
money question, which is it's a money question which needs to be. The question is very simple. Srijan madam, can you read it out or shall I just summarize?
No, you summarize it.
So the question is very simple. When there is a summons to a party, which happens, summons to party happens all the time, and then the department says that you either pay the amount or reverse the credit. Without issuing any further notice or without any demand.
I can't hear.
Can you hear
What
now?
did you say?
During a summons,
You
a
pay
party
the
is,
amount or reverse the credit.
yeah, reverse the credit. So basically, they are saying you pay the amount during summons. There is no show cause notice issued. There is no determination of demand. At that stage of summons, they are saying you pay the amount, and the he's saying if we have to pay the amount, if he has it all has to pay the amount, can he do so through DRC under protest?
That is what it is. Whether DRC3 has a column for showing
Yes,
under
it does.
protest,
It
I
does.
don't
It
know.
does. It does. It does.
So you must write very clearly, pay under section 73, not under 74. Very important. Secondly, the very same day, address a letter to the investigation officer, to his higher up, and also to your nodal officer that this payment is made to buy piece. The goods have actually come and they are being consumed by you or sold by you.
But if he wants, he can contest. There is no show cause notice. There is no
Now,
equity
there
case.
is
If he
other
wants, he can
things.
contest. But these
Yeah,
are
but
talking
he
about.
said he
I
wants
think
to
he's
pay,
talking about
then
where
whether
there
he
is a
can
lot
pay.
of.
But
goods are being-
where you will contest the bar? Where you will contest then? Because without show cause notice there is no proceeding, no bar. So
Correct.
without
So
show
in
cause
that,
notice there is no proceeding. So there is no contest. You can't contend anywhere. Once you
how
make
much-
the
Arey,
payment,
you
they will
can
proceed.
actually you can
Where
save the penalty if you are really in trouble.
No, but that's what I make it. But see, under protest payment, it doesn't serve under the GST law because when you make the payment, they will close
You have
the
to file
issue. They
the
will not
return.
issue it. But file return के किया तो भी क्या हुआ? What is happening then?
DRC 3 में protest लिखेंगे ना. You have to protest. See,
Nikita,
Wagani, the question is whether he can do it. He should do it if he has a genuine case. Let him take it to the.
I'm on the point that but under protest payment by DRC 03 is not a solution, because then thereafter there is no proceeding. Then they are
They will
closing the
sit tight
proceeding.
on that. They will sit tight on that. They will not issue any, show cause notice,
Any so-called
etc.
notice. Any so-called notice. So that is the issue in the GST, that payment under protest they have not provided under the law also. And that is what we have asked for the representation, that we want a such type of the provision in the GST.
We have made, yes.
No, but see,
What you say is very right.
What happens, that usually, I mean, if at all he has to, now under the GST law in the appellate proceeding, he will not be able to do anything. Now, if at all he has to go to the High Court, in that case, if he has paid under the protest and addressed a letter, and then he has probably in the next summons that he is called, if he challenges that case he might get relief. It's not that he will not get relief. You are right.
Let us see one case, try one case and then see the.
See, ultimately, High Court is a remedy. I don't say it's a good remedy. But then again, the financial implication you have to see. If it is a good case, please carry on to the logical conclusion. And maybe if you challenge some section, you might get that success also. It is possible.
I mean, in that case, he'll have to, I mean, it all really depends on the facts of the case, but he'll have to probably make a case to go to the High Court. I mean, it will not be.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only way out. There is no other way out.
Because of someone, if he has already attended, in that case, the High Court will not entertain you, saying that you have already accepted the jurisdiction. So in that case, there has to be, subsequently, there has to be some notice or something that has to be issued to him. In that case, then it becomes a good way to challenge.
Okay.
See, one of the cases, what happened, I had asked some accountant attended, he says they are forcing me to do this, that. I said, usko bolo ke my management is asking for something in writing. Please give me in writing, then I will proceed. If such thing happens, maybe you can proceed. Otherwise, it's difficult, to be very frank.
Because Wagani sir, what is happening now, essentially summons also, after that, madam will also be aware in the recent case, after the summons are issued, in that case, if at that point of time under coercion money is not paid, when the next summons or something is issued, he will either say that either you pay this or you attend before me for further rate. There are times when they give some sort of a working. So it is not like, I mean, if it is a rare case where there is no notice, the money is coming, automatically then it is problematic. Otherwise,
yeah.
Okay, we will have a detailed workshop on that now. Let us go on.
yes.
These are all technical things where ultimately, for a good case, you can go up to High Court. And High Court would read down, High Court would set right the process, everything is possible.
I think that was
a good case.
Genuine case.
Part the convener, if you all permit, we have two people who have raised their hand. We'll just unmute them. Mr.
Yes.
Deepak Goyal and Mr. Girish Dankale. You all can unmute yourself. You can take your questions online. You all need to unmute yourself. Mr. Deepak Goyal and Mr. Girish Dankale.
I think मैडम का ही है जो just मैडम unmute yourself. उनका आवाज disturbance बहुत है.
Which madam? We have two madam, Parth.
No, yeah, it's.
I just muted her to check. If what was. Keep your phone away, madam. That is why the problem is coming.
Yeah, Mr. Deepak, you want to ask? You need to unmute yourself. I don't see he's unmuting. Okay, yeah, that was the end of questions.
Yeah. So, can I go ahead?
Yeah, please.
Yes, Alok, now your turn.
See, what I told you in the beginning, that why we call Nikita madam to give the 100% expectation of what we require. I think she truly truly she has finished the lecture in a perfect manner. Not only that, she went so deeply and she told all of us what to do, what not to do, when someone will going to come, and as a professional, what precaution, what we need to take. And that is what we expected, madam, from the beginning. I think, and you have truly justified your speech in all the case. And I think we learned a lot. I think now we come to know when any summons come from department or any question asked by our consultant, how we can proceed further and all. So once again, thank you so much, madam. And that is what we want, and you did it, madam. Thank you so much. I also thankful to my learning chairman, Shri Dhanapal Bhagani, my convener, Path Badheka, support system given by our IT committee convener, Shejal Shah. I think fantastic. This whole year, I think she was so fantastic that she has given good support to all of us. On Kushlani ji and Praveen Shinde for his gracious presence. Now I request our Secretary Praveen Shinde ji to give well-deserved vote of thanks to Shri Ashima Nikita madam.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Good evening to all. Respected Vice President Alok Mehta, Treasurer Sunil Kuslani, Convener of LNR, Path Badheka, Chairman Sri Janakji Wagani, IT Committee Convener Sejal Madam, and today's speaker Srimati Nikita Madam. Before presenting the vote of thanks, I will announce some events of our associations. Members can take the benefits of the same. Virtual Arvind Thakkar lecture meeting will be held on Wednesday, 27 January 2021 at 2 p.m. On the subject is role of vigilance in GST, and the speaker will be Mr. Sanjay Khandare, Deputy Commissioner of Sales Tax. Second event, virtual 2-day National Tax Conference jointly with AFTP Western Zone, VTPA and CGCTC will be held on 17 and 18 February 2021. Detailed program is available on our website. Third, Intensive Study Circle course has just started. Only 2 lectures completed. Balance 10 or more lecture is still pending. Members can enroll and take the benefits of the same. All workshop videos for the year 2020-21 is available for sale on our website. Members also can take the benefits of the same. Last, tax month and our library is recently open at 104. Members can take the benefits of the same. Coming for the vote of thanks. It is indeed great pleasure to give vote of thanks to today's speaker, Address Nikita Badheka madam. It was a very wonderful session. Total more than 230 participants for today's study circle. I sincerely thank on behalf of GSTPAM to Nikita madam for kindly accepting our invitation and giving his valuable time for today's study circle meeting. Nikita madam has nicely explained the topic of ethics ITC on circular trading, bill to ship to transaction and criminal liability to tax profession under GST. Initially, she explained how to take care taken the care of enforcement and in the process of the delivery of the goods and services. She has explained the various provision of ITC and papers and circular trading, prosecution, etc. She has also given the few landmark judgment in his today's talk. Madam has studied the subject so much in depth. I am sure this topic is really going to help us in our practice and in departmental audit as well as protest tax professional. Thank you, Nikita madam, for enlightening us. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you.
Thanks. Our special thanks to Chairman Ethical Committee Sri Janak Wagani for providing valuable inputs and guidance to convener And today he pointed out incorrect the today's all important judgment reported by Madam in our GST referencer. I propose a very heart of thanks to technical back technical support of IT committee, Cindy Sejal Madam, and present the entire question for the delegate before the speaker. I propose a very hearty of thanks to convener, Eleanor committee, Park Badheka for quickly arrangement of today's study circle meeting for the benefits of all our esteemed members. Lastly, I thanks all members for attending this lecture. Thank you. Over to organizer. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikita. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Serial, for support. Thanks, Parth.
Bye bye. Alok bye.
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 Thanks. Thank you, Dhanak. Bye.